A lot of people want to be wealthy, but they don't think wealthy. So this video is about how wealthy people think. So join me, here we go. I've studied wealthy people for years, and I'm going to give you the top 3 things that I've learned from very wealthy people. I'm also going to talk about the advice my one and only billionaire friend gave me when we were up at his resort in Tahoe. And lastly, I'm going to give you some tips on where you can go to get the wealthy thinking ideas and mindset that will mold your thinking so you think more like a wealthy person instead of maybe the way you grew up or the way people around you think. You know, your thinking and your viewpoint is like clay. It's moldable over time. And most kids that grow up are happy. It's a natural native state, and they become unhappy because of things that happen in their life, right? Wealthy people have a certain way of thinking. And when you grow up around wealth, oftentimes people that grow up around that are wealthy. I didn't, you may not have too, so let's dive right in about the thinking. The first 3 important things I've learned about wealth, and I've been studying this since I was a young man. I read Zig Ziglar's book, See You at the Top, the book that gives you a checkup from the neck up to avoid stinking thinking and hardening of the attitudes, the world's most deadly disease. So the first thing I could tell you about wealthy people is they try to have a positive outlook on things. They are solution oriented. So when someone says, I can't do that, their thinking would be, how do I do that? How could I do that? What do I have to do to be able to do that? In some of my other videos, I talk about people wanting to get a mortgage for real estate and how they don't think they can, right? But they, instead of focusing on thinking about why they can't, wealthy people think about, well, what do I need to do to be able to, right? What are the steps I need to get in that position? So the number one and most important thing I think about wealthy people is they have a can-do attitude. How can I make that happen? How can I fix this relationship? What can I do to increase my wealth? What do wealthy people do that I'm not doing? The second thing I learned about wealth from wealthy people, very important, is you have to watch them and look at their actions and mirror them. I did a Tony Robbins seminar in 1991 at his house called Date with Destiny. And in that house of about 70 people, one of the things we learned about was matching and modeling and mirroring successful people. He would say, quote, success leaves clues. Right? People who are successful leave clues. You know, as an investor and as an entrepreneur, I've taught and helped a lot of people to be successful as well, both as a doctor and in real estate. And what do? They see what I do and they copy it. They're knockoffs, okay? And of course, they put their own spin on it. But seeing it in action, seeing how it works, watching what wealthy people do and learning about how they do it is another way to change your thinking and see that wealthy people think in ways you may not think. My friend who is a billionaire says that if you feel pressure or you feel that you are not doing well in a certain part of your business or your life, that you probably have the wrong system. There's systems for everything. There's systems for getting out of bed and what you do during the day to systems for running your business. This friend of mine was in the fitness business. So he had over 17,000 employees, and he had a system where he could run and know what's going on in over 300 clubs on his cell phone anywhere in the world. He had a system. And all those people who worked for him had a way through his system to communicate to him, either through managers and those managers through area managers to him. You follow? So that was his system. So how do you think about your life and your condition and what's going on with you? You think about it as a certain way, right? Wealthy people think about how they can improve or change their condition or what they can do to make things better. They look at other people, they study wealthy people, and they learn from them and match and model. I was recently watching a Grant Cardone video where he was interviewing an individual, and the individual said this. He said, when people are speaking and talking to you, they're thinking. And he was a psychologist that worked with people and spoke to them to help them with problems. And one of the key points I got from that video, because like you, I'm watching YouTube too, and I'm learning just like you from other people, right? So that's, by the way, why you want to subscribe. So what this psychologist said was, he said that when people are speaking, they're thinking. And that part of his job is to listen. And by listening, he could learn what the people's problem was and help them to not only guide them to their own solution, but also let them speak and think through their problem and come up with an answer. You know, too often we don't listen to people. So wealthy people listen and they learn and they allow people to tell them and they don't cut them off. The third most important thing that I've learned about wealthy people is they think differently. Okay? I often use the example of the sheeple, right? The herd. The herd follows whatever the herd does. Wealthy people tend to not be part of the herd. They tend to wander off in their own direction. They often say you find eagles one at a time, not in a flock, right? So people that are wealthy tend to think differently. And this is how they think differently. They think in terms of what makes sense for them. In fact, I've heard wealthy people say to me, find out what everybody else thinks and do the opposite, and you'll probably do better, okay? Most people follow what everybody else does. They match, model, and mirror unsuccessful people or people that are just not in the wealth stratosphere. They may be successful, but we're talking here about wealth. Building wealth requires that you focus on your goals, what you want, your targets, your passion. In studying wealth people for years, I've found that they commonly have a passion. They're passionate about something and they love it. And they'll try many things, but when something starts making money, and this is what I do, when something starts making money, they'll run with it. I've had many failures, okay? But you can't have successes without them. Teams are going to lose, but to be a winning team, you have to lose sometimes, right? Don't expect to always win, but losses are learning experiences. And that's another thing wealthy people do. They don't see a loss as a loss, they see it as a learning experience. Like Tom Hopkins used to say in the Official Guide to Success, I never see failure as failure, but only as a learning experience. As a wealthy person thinking, they don't take losses really so much emotionally, but more they try to learn from that loss and say, what do I need to do to correct my actions to be successful? Fourth thing that I see that wealthy people do all the time is they delegate. They leverage people's time. So they think, why should I be doing this or that when I could hire somebody $10, $15, $20 an hour to do that for me, and I could go out in my business and make much more money. So those tasks that need to be done are delegated, and wealthy people leverage other people's time. They pay people for their time. Wealthy people try to build businesses or do actions that create larger sums of money than and refer or defer other tasks to people that they hire to do them for them. Another way wealthy people think is they make lists. Wealthy people know that you cannot hit a target you never set. The best archery person in the world, as Zig Ziglar used to say, they could be the best archery person in the world. But if they don't have a target, they're never going to hit anything. They're never going to be successful. So don't be in your life a ship without a rudder. Okay? Don't wander aimlessly through the text messages and Instagram and Facebook, looking at pictures like People magazine and watching other people's lives. Wealthy people live their own. I've often said, when people say stuff like, they really did a nice job fixing up that town, or they did a nice job remodeling that house, or they did a great job with that business, you want to be the they that they're talking about. You want to be the they. So successful people take action. They're engaged, okay? Successful and wealthy people constantly are engaged and have relationships with who? Other wealthy people. They tend to cut relationships with people that have a lot of problems, that are negative, that are down on their luck, that aren't going anywhere, and go round and round and round with excuses. Wealthy thinking is non-excuse making. Wealthy thinking is taking action and doing something about it. Doing something about what? Whatever it is in your life that you feel needs to change. You know, you could take a piece of paper, and here's a successful action. Take a sheet of paper, fold it down the middle, and on one side write the condition or the way things are, and on the other side of the paper write the condition and the way things you want to be. And then you have to say, okay, I'm here now and I want to be here. What steps do I have to take to go from here to here? Don't focus on where you are. Focus on the steps you need to do to get where you want to be. And that's a key point for wealthy people. Wealthy people think about, what steps do I need to do to improve myself? A lot of people get wealthy on accident. They're just doing what they're doing and they end up wealthy. You know, I love doing real estate. I love doing healthcare. I was a chiropractor for years, and I was just helping people in practice and opened up multiple practices and had a lot of patients that I helped over the years before I retired from practice. And I got into real estate, and I love real estate. I love fixing up homes. I love redesigning homes, like this home I remodeled that I'm sitting in now. And I love doing that. It's fun. It creates a beautiful home for a family or an individual, whoever decides to buy it, to come in and live, right? So what are you passionate about? Okay, wealthy people are thinking about their passion. They're setting goals about their passion. They're making lists every day, and they're thinking about what they need to do today to get to where they want to be. Okay, now say they get to where they want to be. What else do wealthy people think? They think, take time to enjoy your wins. Go on vacation. Enjoy your life. You know, what are you working so hard for? Okay, enjoy the fruits of your labor. And lastly, wealthy people are very charitable. You know, oftentimes people think that wealthy people are just like mean or, you know, they're greedy or whatever. They're not, okay? Most of the charities are supported by wealthy people. Most of the taxes are paid by wealthy people. The country's run mostly by the taxes on wealthy people. People that think like I'm talking about, okay? People that create and continue to create businesses and opportunities for others. The longer you are successful and the wealthier you become, the more you realize the importance of helping other people. You will never ever find, and this is the last point, you will never ever find anywhere in the country, because it's illegal, okay? You will never ever see a U-Haul behind a hearse. You can't take it with you, my friends. So it's important that you give some away, whether it's to your church, whether it's to charity, whether it's to helping an individual come up, whether it's to somebody helping them with their education or whatever. You can never pay it back. And wealthy people realize, and you should realize this too, you got to where you are by people putting energy, time, money into you, whether it was your parents or teachers or other adults or siblings or a mentor. Somebody invested in you. And somebody invested in them. People invested in me, my parents, my brothers and sisters, my mentors, my friends, educators, teachers. I can't pay them back. Some of them have passed away, so neither can you. So your obligation and duty to be successful, part of that, a wealthy person understands this thinking, is to give back. Because by giving back, you're paying it forward. You can't pay it back. You can only pay it forward. And part of paying it forward is being charitable to help others come up in their life. I do that through the YouTube videos and other charitable things that I may do on the side, which are private and personal to me. But here's a chance for you to get free information, subscribe, and learn from somebody who's wealthy. I'm not the wealthiest guy in the world. I'm not a billionaire. You know, I'm not like super mega wealthy, but I've done well and I have the opportunity to help other people. And so the purpose of this videos, which I hope you subscribe, is to help you to come up, to be wealthier. And wealth isn't just about money, my friends. Last point, wealth in your relationships, wealth in your health, wealth in your finances, wealth in your passion and your happiness and your joy and your quality of life. You have a beautiful life. Enjoy it. Think like a wealthy person and you'll find that more income will come your way. I'm Paul Maguire. Join me on the next video where I'm going to talk about actually getting wealthy in real estate. So join me there and I'll see you in the next video.